It is unfortunate that I begin this meeting with a moment of silence and sadness as we reflect on the Texas elementary school shooting that left 19 students and 2 adults dead. I am personally overwhelmed and I have no words of comfort, but just those of disbelief, and have not truly processed and reflected deeply on to this horrible tragedy. However, I would like to take this moment to ask those who do wish to speak to raise their hand after we have a moment of silence. Please join me in this moment of silence. Thank you very much. If anyone would like to make a comment or a statement or just a moment of reflection, you may kindly share by raising your hand. Kathleen?
Some of you know that I was a classroom music teacher, national board certified for a number of years in Northern Virginia. This could have been my class. These could have been my kids. Children are the potential. Children are our future. They deserve every moment of our respect and energy. Thank you, Gwen, for this opportunity. God bless us all.
Thank you, Kathleen, for sharing. Mark, put your hand up.
No, well, it was, but I was just going to say it's like, here we go again for no good reason.
And these acts of hate seem to be escalating, both in frequency and in time. Sorry.
Thank you, Marge. Melanie?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Listen to a talk radio, and it talked about this. We're living in times where it feels like we're experiencing domestic terrorism. And that's what it feels like. It feels like you never know what's going to happen, or when someone's going to launch an assault or an attack, based on, the sheer notion of the color of your skin or where you live. And it's hard to be able to explain that to your children. I have a teenager, and, how do I, have the conversations talking to her about, and it's real, it's live, that she has to be vigilant about where she goes or where I don't want her to go. And she can't drive and certain things. It's a difficult conversation. So thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Melanie.
Just a thought that it seems it's so sad that our schools have to be armed camps, fortresses, and everything sealed up tight. And you think about little children, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders. I mean, what kind of a twisted mind goes after innocence like that? It's heart-wrenching.
Thank you, Linda. Jill?
It just makes me think, what is wrong with 18-year-old men? And what is in their minds, and what haven't we done correctly to make them feel a part of the community? And how can we help them so they don't do this?
Thank you, Jill. Thank you all for sharing, much appreciated. I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome everyone to the League of Women Voters of Delaware 2022 Council. As all of you know, because most of you are familiar, but we do have some new faces here today, and I certainly do appreciate and welcome them as wholeheartedly. I'm Gwendolyn Miller, the president of the League of Women Voters of Delaware. So we have a couple of etiquette orders, and they are pretty much what you've been used to, but always need to have this reminder. And that is to keep yourself on mute. That way we don't experience any of the background noises that can be distracting or can limit others from being able to hear what is being said. So thank you for that. Bring your whole self to the meeting. Please try to keep distractions at a minimum. Kindly wait until after the presentation to ask the questions. We will always give an opportunity for you to raise questions or make comments, as well as the chat questions. We're going to hold those off until after the presentation as well. So I appreciate that. Right now, I'm going to hand it over to Kim Wells, who is here today, and she will be monitoring the voting process. So Kim, if you'd like to take a few minutes to explain how we're going to use the polls to vote.
Sure. We're a small group today, and I imagine everybody has taken a Zoom poll in the past. When an issue comes up today that we all need to vote on as a group, rather than raise hands, we're going to launch a Zoom poll, and each of the questions will have either a yes or a no or an abstain answer. And so when that pops up on your screen, choose one of those choices. If you can't vote yes or no, then choose abstain, so that we get a full vote on the matter. And then after the vote is finished, we'll show the results so we can all see what the vote that was taken. And I think that's all there is to say about that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'd like to take a moment to introduce this outstanding board members who help defend democracy locally and across our state. There are a few new members today, or people who are joining us that aren't familiar with who we are. And so I'd like to take a minute to introduce everyone. To begin with, serving as first vice president is Kathleen Baker. Kathleen, if you would just give a light wave so we can find you on the Zoom grid. And then I'd like to introduce our second vice president, Linda Barnett. Linda, thank you. Our secretary is Marjorie Johnson. Our treasurer is Jill Ikowitz. And the webmaster / web person, I prefer that wording, is Marianne Coe. Thanks, Marianne. We also have serving the board of directors, and they are Denise Davis, who I don't believe is here today, Charlie Garlow. Charlie, wave. Thank you, Charlie. Sue Claire Harper. Thank you, Sue Claire. Chandra Owens. Okay, I see her face. Her face is with her name is there. Melanie Taylor. Thank you, Melanie. And Lori Yadine is also on, but I don't believe she is here. And Jack Young. Thank you, Jack. Did we leave anybody off? Good. Okay, great. Thank you. In addition, we also have our local league president serving on the board. I'd like to recognize them as well. In Kent County, we have Mary Kay Edgars, who has recently resigned, and in serving in her stead as interim president is Chandra Owens. In Newcastle County, we have Richard Johnson. And in Sussex County, the president position is vacant, but we have here today representing Sussex County is Rain Taylor. Raise your hand. There we go. Okay, thank you. All right, thanks everyone for being here today. So we'd like to first pose the question is, do we have a quorum? And we did have this conversation slightly before the beginning of the meeting, and we do have a quorum. Okay, here comes Denise Davis. Let's begin with the approval of the minutes for 2020. Our secretary, Marge Johnson, will take the minutes of this council. In addition, there are a copy of the 2020 council minutes on our Google Docs, which is accessible by all board members, and is also filed on the LWVD office in Wilmington. So may I have a motion to accept the council minutes for May 30, 2020? You'll have to unmute yourself to make your motion.
Sorry, I so move, please.
Thank you.
I second.
Kathleen. Thank you. Dick Johnson, who seconds it. All in, this is where we're going to try our voting poll. And Kim will bring that up for everyone. And remember, those who are, while she's doing that, state board, board members and local league presidents will be voting on the motion to accept the council minutes for May 30th, 2020.
Gwendolyn, I abstain, right? I don't do anything because I'm not on the board, right? So-
That is correct.
Okay,
Thank you.
good.
Thank you, Letty, for asking.
So the voting slowed down and I went ahead and stopped the polling and I'm sharing the results now. It looks like we had 12 out of 12 voted yes and 1 abstention. Is 12 enough for the quorum?
Yes, but I need to just fact check that for a minute.
Just that 1 abstention is not really a vote.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So 11 out of 12. 11 out of 12 said yes. And that means not everybody did vote. Of course, the people who are meeting hosts cannot vote the way Zoom works.
That's right. So Mary Ann probably didn't see the voting poll as well as I didn't see it. And of course you didn't see it, Kim, but you're not voting. So that is correct. So Mary Ann, you can give a verbal vote. And so Marge, that will change the results of the voting.
Okay, I approve.
So it's now 12. 15, 14, 13, 12 out of 13. And Gwen, you don't vote, right?
Correct. And
So it was unanimous.
Rain is voting for Sussex.
And she
And-
voted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then we're all set. So would you confirm the final count, please? Marge,
Well, it would be 12. I put unanimous because it was everybody who could vote.
okay, thank you. All right, let's go on to the treasurer's report with Jill Ikowitz, the board treasurer, and she will give a report and address any questions following the completion of her report.
And I'm
Thank
going to
you.
share my screen. So I just want to review our statement of financial position as of April 30th. And we have 50,000 in assets. 27,000 of that, that's the orange line, is the Vanguard balance, and we don't use that. That's our safeguard. So the board has restricted the use of that for our day-to-day. And we have 11,000, I'm sorry, we have 12,000 in restricted assets, and those are assets for certain projects. And we have 11,344 available to spend. I just want to show you our restricted assets. Our major one is Fair Maps, which we received about 8,000 from National to support our redistricting efforts. And then, although the market's not doing so well, our Vanguard performance overall since we started is 15.20%. So we're still ahead of the game. And then I just want to look at our budget at this point versus our actuals. And when you look at the income side, we're doing rather well. We didn't receive the other donations that we expected, but our members have really contributed and stepped up. So the income we budgeted, we're gonna have that and also surpass it. There's a lot more coming. So we're doing very well there. And as far as our expenses, let's go down to the end of our expenses. We're doing rather well. We're not spending a lot of money. As I said before, COVID's been pretty good to us. We just don't spend money. So we're gonna have an excess of about 2,500 or about 3,000 at the end of what we budgeted. So that's good news for us. And then I just did a little analysis for today. Pat and I always look at, do we have enough to support what we do? So what we did is we took our actual non-project revenue, which was 14,000 some odd change, and added expected revenue for May and June. So our total projected revenue is 14,400. Then I took our actual operation expenses and our additional expenses we expect and other things we pay for. We pay for Vote 411 and we pay for board and administrative expenses. So if you take our projected revenue less expenses, we're ahead of the game by 2,400. And then we have our starting balance, which is our safeguard of 9,000. And we also, God forbid, have our Vanguard funds, which we want to save. So we are doing very well at this point financially. Anybody have any questions?
There are
That's
no
it.
questions. Wonderful report. Thank you, Jill. I appreciate that. We're going to move on to the next part on the agenda, which is program recommendations. And just for the record, Marge, no program recommendations were sent to the state board or the membership before the council meeting. Directions to the state board. Are there any recommendations for the board to consider, concerns, suggestions, or does anyone have an idea or feel something can be done better or should be taken under advisement? Marge?
Am I muted?
No, you are not.
I would like to suggest that the president appoint a couple people to read the minutes so that we aren't reading them 2 years later.
You are suggesting that someone read the minutes at the council regarding the minutes from the previous 2 years. Is that correct?
I'm suggesting that when the minutes get put in the drive, they get sent to whoever the president appoints to read them to make sure that they are complete and correct.
And you're suggesting they read them at the council meeting, is that correct?
I'm suggesting they read them when they're posted to make
Oh.
edits on them.
So in other words, and make revisions at that time as well. And then next year, we really don't have to approve them because they've been approved by these individuals who've been delegated that responsibility. I think that's what you're talking about.
Right, because when we read the 2020 minutes, it was really hard to reconstruct was that, you know, it's 2 years later is not a good time to be reading them. That's
And may I note in support of Marge's idea that the council, no, this is the council, but the convention appoints 3 readers. Because I did this last year and I sent to the 3 readers my draft of the minutes of the convention. They made whatever changes they thought was appropriate. I accepted them and then sent them on to the leadership. I think that's so we already have a precedent for that sort of thing.
That's true. Okay, Letty?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I know that for the convention, we do have to approve the minutes of the former, accept them, even though they've been read by 3 people. And I'm not sure if it's in the bylaws or the policies, but it's actually done at the national convention as well. So, you know, we don't see the minutes. I just don't
3
know
people
who's going to
can't
vote
accept
on that.
minutes.
Should be the next board, the board, then we have to approve the minutes of the council at the following board meeting.
exactly. But you don't have to read them 2 years later to see what's
Yeah.
in.
Oh,
Do
It's
we
fine.
have any other thoughts on, Charlie, your hand is up. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Gwendolyn. I can imagine that there are people who have ideas for expenditures. It sounds like from Jill's excellent work that we have money to spare. I don't know how much we have to spare, but it seems like if we've got extra cash, we've certainly got extra projects that could probably use some additional funding. I don't know quite how you might want to handle that, but I would like to see our program moving forward rather than just amassing more money in the bank account. Any reactions?
I have a question. Do you have any ideas, Charlie, as to where you think an expenditure would be wisely made?
Well, I'd be glad to solicit from each one of our committee chairs or whomever ideas that they may have, but it just occurs to me that we could do more advertising in the newspapers or other media or social media, or wherever, spend some money to reach out to the general public and spread our message in one manner or another.
Could also do more displays, such as the one that was done a few months ago on, wind power. So yeah, there are definitely projects we should spend our money. That is a good point, Charlie.
Yeah.
So
and
yeah, I would say send a solicitation out really to all league members. I doubt if many will respond, asking for suggestions and ideas.
Yeah, I think there's a number of issues that we could actually spend that money on, but I think the key here would be to come up with what the consensus has and where that's being spent. I can think of a number of things, but they may not be in line with what everybody in the membership wants to do. So I'm sure Charlie has some ideas too. So it would be nice if we set aside a date where we could actually come up and look at suggestions from the membership and then decide which ones we want to move forward with.
Well, that's actually an excellent idea, Dick, is to set aside a time on the agenda where prior to the meeting, people already submitted the projects or initiatives that need some funding, and then the reasons behind them. And then at the meeting, it's placed on the agenda, and then at the meeting, we discuss why one or all, or maybe none, should be executed. So I think that's an excellent suggestion. And Charlie, thanks for spearheading this idea, because we do need to increase our awareness on what we're doing, especially at this time. We need to let people know what we do and who we are.
Gwen,
Yes.
just had an idea that we could use the voter as a vehicle to collect ideas. In other words, have a little graphic section in the voter indicating or asking for any one of the membership if they have any ideas for projects that they would like to see the league pursue, and to submit those ideas. You could put a form in the voter, but that's a way to reach out to the membership to see if there's anything that motivates them to get more involved.
Excellent, Ellen. Absolutely. Your idea is spot on. If the voters, the members think of it and would like to see it done, then maybe they will also help to see it come to fruition. So I do like that. So sometimes we forget that we're doing a lot for others, but we're not asking what do the others really want or need. So that's an excellent idea too.
Good.
Marge, your hand is up, or is it still up from before?
No, I just had a comment on this because I think Charlie's point is well taken, but historically, the league has worked on a shoestring budget, and our mindset is not to spend much money. What does everything cost? And I would like to see people be much more bold about their particular project, so that even though they know it's not in the budget, this is what they'd like to do. It would be a great goal to aspire to. I just think we need to change the whole mindset about how we do business. And that's not easy because it's been ingrained in us in a long time that we don't have any money. So it's a change.
And to your point, Marge, if we have a goal and we don't have the budget or don't wish to spend our budget or all of our budget on this particular initiative, then maybe fundraiser would come back into play, and we would make that a priority, because we've been really dodging fundraising for quite a few years now. Letty?
There's one thing that I've always found that we didn't have, and we didn't have a nice slick flyer or a little brochure about the League of Women Voters of Delaware. We are at tables and events, or we're out in the public, and we don't have anything to give to another person to recruit. And we used to, the National League, we used to buy or get it free, really nice brochures. They don't exist now anymore. So I really think that we need to develop something that we can hand out about the league, because not everybody's on the website all the time. Yet we're in the community now, especially during the election year. That's when we really recruit a lot of people. So that's just one of the things. Printing costs are not cheap, but at least we in the Delaware League can develop a flyer that lists the local leagues as well, and their contact and so on. So that's my thing.
Charlie, your hand is up again, or is that from before, or your hand up?
No, this is right now.
Okay, great.
I thank Letty for her contribution, her thoughts. I'm all in favor of getting a brochure, but I don't know that we're going to get the kind of outreach to especially younger people with brochures. Brochures are great to have. We should have them. And maybe we could just use one of the last ones we had before and update it for current activities or something like that, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel. But I envision more outreach through social media, where are the youth of this country? And we need more young people in the league. Where there are too many gray hairs on this screen, including mine. And so I would think it would be wise for us to work with a consultant who's wise in the ways of social media and the places where we can go to reach out to a younger set. Maybe it's on TikTok or something about which I know absolutely nothing, but I think that's where a lot of youth go to hang out, and we need to be there. That's my.
Thank you. But when you really think about it, both groups, both demographics need to be reached. And so we need to broaden how we reach our demographics. There are a group of people who do prefer the paper, the print material. There are people who aren't on the internet. And also to your point, Charlie, there are people who are on social media, and that's only way they receive information. So it is up to us to reach everyone and by as many means as we can financially afford, so that our word is out there. So I'm going to share with you another way to the same point, that through the grace of one of our league members has funded a print ad for the League of Women Voters. Jill, you can speak to this, and Kim, you especially can speak to this. So I'll segue it to you. I'll just tell you the background, but the point is reaching out to people and let everyone know we exist in multiple different platforms. So Kim, you want to talk about the initiative that is underway?
Well, yeah, I was actually just going to tell Charlie that Jill has got, as part of her presentation, she's going to tell about a TikTok initiative that the Elections Committee is doing. But I would love to share the Southern Delaware Alliance for Racial Justice is having a fundraiser, and one of the league members, I believe the name was Owen Cheevers. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Funded an ad in their program, and we've just put together an ad, and I will actually.
Yeah, that'll be great.
See if I can find it.
He is married. Owen Cheevers is new to our board, and he is married to Alicia Jones, who is not new to our board. She's been a board member for us, from Sussex County board member for about 4 years now. And so she provided the funds so that we would have a full page ad on this program called the Chantels, which is going to happen in June. And but I really appreciated the fact that one, it's a full page ad, two, that it raises our visibility, and that this fundraiser for the Chantels is going to be at the Cape Henlopen School, and it is sold out. So you can imagine how many people are going to see our ad. And I think Kim did a remarkable job of designing this ad. And so I think it's great if she can share it with us.
Sorry, it took a minute to find it. Let me make it a little smaller.
Well, that's great. And so I think to all of the points that are being raised today, it's multiple platforms, multiple media we need to reach out to whenever possible to get the word out. So I appreciate that.
Well, I think that what Charlie mentioned when he was speaking was just the possibility of a consultant, bringing in a consultant to have that broader view, and so that we can cover a lot of different segments of the public.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Excellent. So to recap, we've talked about flyers, brochures, some type of print media. We've talked about spending money on new initiatives, and if necessary, coming up with some type of list of what those new initiatives might be, and then of course how they're going to be financed, whether they're in the budget or if there will be a need for a fundraiser. We talked about the minutes and a new way of reading the minutes for the council. We talked about more social outreach to attract a younger audience, and what does that look like? Is it TikTok, or is it TikTok and some other things as well? And there also is the demographics we're not considering, that's between the ages of 26 and 46. Where are they? How do we reach them? Marge?
I would just like to say that if we're going to put this question out to the membership, I think it should go out with some of these suggestions or suggestions from various committees. I think if you send an open-ended question to the general membership, they won't have a clue how to respond.
Good point. Okay, Linda?
Yeah, I just like to circle back to what we started with, which was Marge's recommendation that a couple of people be appointed to review the minutes after this meeting. So I move that the president appoints 2 people to review the minutes and revise them and suggest revisions as needed as soon as possible after the minutes are prepared, so that we don't wait until for 2 years before having someone review them and revise them.
Okay, we're going, Marge, could you take your hand down so we don't confuse that for part of the voting process? So there is a motion on the floor to review and revise the minutes as soon as possible. Is there a
Second.
by Chandra.
The second is by Sandra. Thank you very much. And we'll do an electronic vote again. You'll have to talk me through it, Kim, because I can't see the screen for the polling.
All right, so there's the poll is up now. It says 2022 council question number 2. How do you vote on question number 2 as proposed in today's meeting? The choices are.
Linda, in your motion, did you indicate the number of people or did you just say some?
I think I said 2 people.
2 people, okay.
So the choices are yes, no, or abstain. We ought to have, if everybody votes that can, 17 votes on there. So far, we have 13.
Mary, Mary Ann votes yes.
All right, I'm gonna guess that maybe some people are on their phones and can't vote. The voting has slowed down. I'll end the poll. I'll share the results. Mary Ann voted yes verbally. I'd like to vote yes verbally as well if I am a voting member of this process. So now, Gwen, since you can't see it, it's sharing up on the screen. 2022 council question number 2. It shows 13 people voted. All 13 said yes, is what it shows.
Unanimous. Marge, you have that for the record. Thank you. Are there any other anyone else making a motion on a recommendation? These are the suggestions of which we should consider moving forward. And those suggestions would be about print material. The suggestions would be about new initiatives and how to pay for them. Those suggestions also include about how to make us more visible to the demographics that are between somewhere at 20 and 40 years old through social media or whatever platform that they frequent. Okay, so let the record show that there are no other suggestions, comments, or ideas. Thank you. And now we're going to turn it over to Jill Ikowitz again, Elections and Voting Chairperson. And this committee does a wonderful job. They provide unbiased, nonpartisan information about elections. And let's welcome Jill and her report on 411.
Hi, guys. So in May, we had Vote 411 for school board elections, and it was very successful. It went up on April 11th, and we have received lots of praise and positive feedback from the candidates, the media, the membership, and other organizations. And this was due primarily to the large Vote for One team. There were a lot of people that helped with this, and I just want to review who helped and what our future holds. So the two people who really held us together was our technical support team, and that was Joyce Ford and Kim Wells. And I'm happy to say that we now have someone to back up Kim Wells for Vote 411, which makes me sleep better at night. And we did a good job. There was a new interface from National, and it had a couple of bumps, but not many. And Kim and Joyce worked into the night to ensure everything was perfect. And if we had any problems, National was very helpful and very responsive. So I don't know, Kim, if you have anything else to add on technical support.
Oh, you keep going, Jill. You're doing great.
The next was we had a really good team for candidate questions. And we developed 6 questions, and several individuals outside the organization commented on the completeness and diversity. And many of our questions were used during the candidate forums. And to me, it was one of our best question sets because we had a large team that had input and great ideas. It was painstakingly emails going back and forth on how to do it, which ones we liked better. And here's a list of the people who were really involved on this team. It was Marge and Linda Barnett and Marjorie Green and Karen, Kathleen, Kim Wells. So I'd like to thank them for their input. And Penny Diner really went the mile on school board questions. Then we had the thankless job of contacting the candidates, which could be problematic. Some don't respond, and some are very anxious to respond. In Newcastle County, we had a response rate of 70%, and that was due to help from Karen Barker and Susan Mitchell and Luann and Linda Barnett and Janice Heights. And excuse me, allergies. A huge shout out to Sussex County and Carol Conroy and Judy Parkins. They did a remarkable job and had a rate of 88%, which is, it's usually a difficult county for us to get a response. And these guys were really gung-ho and did a great job of getting candidates to respond. Kent County is usually our problem child. And if we take out Smyrna, it had a response rate of 67%. And Letty and several other people were very helpful there. Smyrna, I'm sorry to say, had a response rate of 14%. And this is a challenging district. I'm sure you've read the news stories. And Kathleen and Amnesty tried their best to get the candidates to respond. We also had a great marketing team. Liz Carlisle wrote a great, excellent press release, and we were cited in several Delaware news sources, including the Delaware State News, Delaware Online, Delaware Live, and WDEL. And Kim Wells created some graphics that we distributed to the team and others to post on social media sites. And we also sent a couple of emails to our membership to encourage them to vote and spread the word. And ACLU was kind enough to put a link on their site for Vote 411. I just want to chat about upcoming events. In the month of June, we're going to create candidate questions for the November elections and the primary. And that would be the state Senate and state representatives, auditor, attorney general, treasurer, and county council seats. So July 12th is the last day for candidates to register. So on July 13th through September 13th, we're going to be contacting primary candidates to answer the Vote 411 questions. And we'll go live for the Delaware primary on August 15th. September 13th is the state primary. Now, we have the latest state primary. So we have a window, we have from September 14th to the November 7th to contact general election candidates and to go live. We actually have less than a month before we publish, so we'll need a lot of people to help out between September 14th and October 10th to contact the candidates. And November 8th, we have the general election. And then one thing we've been working on, we've partnered with a social media firm to assist with Vote 411 TikTok videos. We asked the firm, how can we reach young voters? And they said TikTok was the platform. So we're recruiting what we call youth ambassadors. And those are the people that will be doing the videos, and from friends and family and local schools and civic organizations. And then the social media company will run focus group sessions with our youth ambassadors to brainstorm about content. And then once we get the videos, it can be leveraged by Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And I'm going to attend some of these brainstorming sessions because I just personally want to hear what the youth is saying and how they view things. And if anyone else wants to join, I can certainly publicize when these focus group sessions will occur. And we're also going to give a prize to the best video, so they have some financial incentive. And that is it from Vote 411.
Oh, tremendous amount of work, Jill. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Jill? Well done. Yes. Charlie.
I'm thrilled that we have such a great team there. Way to go, Jill. I'm particularly interested, of course, in the TikTok outreach based on my previous comments when I was thinking we might be able to reach new members. But here's a chance for us to reach out and get more youth to vote. I think that's great. Is there my question is there a way of measuring success? I'd like to know that, what we did worked well. And if it didn't, then we try something, different to make it work better the next time. Are we going to count the number of youth that are voting and compare that to last time, or what's your strategy?
Yeah, it is hard. It's hard to measure because you don't know why they're voting. Let me have a think about that, because I don't know how you isolate the reason young people are voting. There's so many things out there, but let me just see. But it's a good question.
Excellent. Thank you. Marge.
I just wanted to say to Charlie's point that as well as we did last time and all the spectacular efforts that they put into school board this time, the results were dismal. So I know there are probably numbers we can run to look at success, but I don't know that it was 411's fault that the outcome for the school board was so awful. And yet we do have to look at how we can make that better.
Yeah, it's always challenging. Well, you could say, I thought Red Clay, I live in Red Clay, which had 3 very different candidates, and I was hoping for a higher turnout. It was a little over 3%. And it's normally 1 or 2%, so you can say maybe it doubled, but it's still dismal. A lot of people are asking that question.
Yeah.
Good question. Thank you, Marge. Linda?
Yeah, I was wondering about, Joe, you said that there would have to be new questions for the general election, but the questions are going to be different than the primary questions because all the people in the
No.
general will be in the, in the primary. So why would there need to be a big push for more questions?
Oh, maybe I wasn't clear. It would be the same. It would be the same questions for the primary that we use for the general election.
Okay, good.
And we haven't, usually we get some information from National about the usage of our website, and we haven't received anything yet, but that's a way we can tell, we can measure if people are using the site more.
Excellent. And Letty?
Yes, I had the question about the questions. So you will be sending out the questions after the primary to the rest of the candidates. I just want to mention when we did the paper kind, we actually sent everybody the same questions at the same time, but at the time we didn't do primaries. So when the primary was over, the winning candidates were then marked on the wherever we had it. So I just wondered, just to save time, but I don't exactly know your sequence. You know, how
And it's a thought, because I was looking at other states, and they send to candidates before the primary who are unopposed. So maybe it's something we can think about doing. And maybe it'll be helpful. I'm not sure. It may be confusing because we'll have things from candidates who are running in the primary and those that are not. So we'll talk about that more.
Mhm. Charlie, a question or a comment?
Yes, I do. Jill, if we ask a candidate who's in the primary, what is your opinion about death with dignity or whatever the topic is, and they respond before the primary election, that person wins the primary, are we going to ask that same person the same question again for the general election?
No,
Maybe
it'll
they change their
carry
mind.
forward. It'll carry forward. The responses will be then the same responses. They can adjust it at any time, but they don't have to re-enter.
I think Charlie's question is, if I may, Charlie, is the question was already asked, and then you're asking it again. And we also have to remember that the audience might be different. Those who looked at the questions for the primary may or may not be the same people who look at the questions for the general. So it's a good point of keeping the question there attached to that particular person, because your audience, you can't guarantee the same people will see the same information.
True. Anything
Okay.
else?
I think there are no other questions.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jill. Wonderful work. You and your team, you're a very large team, are doing a tremendous amount of work. Thank you. Jack Young, Esquire, and Kira Hoffner were co-chairs for the Delaware redistricting team. And together, along with their committee, they worked tirelessly to promote a transparent and accountable redistricting process to end hyper-partisan practices. We welcome Jack as he will take the time to present a brief report on the redistricting committee. Thanks, Jack.
Well, thank you. Gwendolyn, you read that introduction exactly as Kara and I had written it. Thank you. Let me be very, very brief, since I think many of you have been involved in this process over the last year. First, we did successfully engage in the General Assembly redistricting of the House and the Senate. As I think you all know, every House and Senate seat is up for election this November. Second, we were very successful in dealing with Sussex County. It had an open, transparent process. Most of the debate was about the League of Women Voters plan, which was driven by the data. It created 5 new districts that are more compact, have greater contiguity, follow school board lines, follow municipal lines, closer to what is contemplated in the Delaware Code in Section 804. Following the successful Sussex County adoption of a new map, Kara and I have been working with the Biden Center at the University of Delaware to develop a proposal for the next cycle, which will be based on, hopefully, the introduction of an independent redistricting commission, since that will require a constitutional amendment that will need the approval of 2 successive sessions of the General Assembly. What we have in mind in the Independent Redistricting Commission is a report that Karen and I have been working with Professor Justice and 4 students at the Biden Center to prepare. We have, in fact, Monday, had a public presentation of that proposal. We will bring it to the League and to the AC this summer. It proposes an independent commission made up of 5 members, 4 of them coming from the caucuses and 1 independent who would be a voting chair. The idea is that we would rely in great detail on advisory commissions in each of the 4 counties in the city. And I must say, disappointingly, that the redistricting process in the counties other than Sussex and the city were not transparent, were somewhat dismal in public participation, and were politics as usual. And hopefully an independent commission will address not only public input, but transparency. Finally, the Delaware League of Women Voters of Delaware is receiving an award from the League of Women Voters US for our efforts. And our only question will be whether that award will be maintained in Letty's office. That was choice 1. Kara's office in the Senate, if she gets elected, or in my office. We will vote on that later. We'll see where it goes. So that is basically where we are. One of the things that the League has, I think, been now acknowledged for is being a leader in the redistricting process in a non-political and non-partisan basis without the rancor that we had in part in Sussex over the creation of one of the General Assembly Senate districts that was nasty, was political, was racist and derogatory. I think the tone has changed greatly. Kara and I have spent a great deal of time now on working with the Biden Center, and we will continue to. One of our proposals also is that the 2030 redistricting process, that the Center for the Manipulation of the Data, manipulation being actually a term of art and not anything disingenuous, would hopefully be at the Biden Center with input with students not only from UD, but also from Delaware State. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Do we have any questions for Jack? Comments? I have one, Jack, and once again, Sussex County was elevated in someone's report. You elevated Sussex County as doing something right in the redistricting process. So the question I'm asking is, what did you learn from Sussex County? What did you do right in Sussex County? What happened in Sussex County? That you could use this information in 2030 with Kent, and maybe Newcastle.
Boy, it's tough to answer that without sounding derogatory to the other counties. And it's great to have a good democracy story from Sussex, remembering that the Sussex delegates were those that made it impossible for Delaware to adopt the 19th Amendment. I think the difference was that Kara and I approached it, and I particularly approached it as a data-driven process. That we had some individuals who wanted to play politics with the process, and we simply didn't let them into the process. That included a couple outside groups and a couple politicians. One of the problems with the state process was that it was a political process. We saw that when adjustments were made, when we had several sitting legislators put in the same district. We also saw it in the lack of nonpartisan efforts in Newcastle County and in Wilmington. And Wilmington is the toughest to deal with, given Wilmington inherent politics. And we hope that an independent commission would change that. And as to Kent County, it is hard sometimes to engage Kent County in any process dealing with redistricting. I hope that the model from Sussex works, but it was also against the background, I think, as some of you remember, of an individual or a group of individuals during the public hearings, not following a nonpartisan political process. And I think that backdrop actually helped as a way not to do it, to help us. It's a great story for the league. And the map that we have in Sussex is in fact the league's map with some very small tweaks. And it creates for Sussex, hopefully a far more representative council, given that the districts are all different, but they may produce a slightly greater balance between political parties and political influences.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jack, for that explanation and a wonderful report. Are there any questions? And we will kindly display that award anywhere we can. It would be nice to have a news article or news story with it. We don't actually have the physical award at this moment. Is that correct?
That's my understanding. I have yet to fully cross-examine Ms. Hoffer as to where the physical award is. Let me continue my prosecution of the whereabouts of the award. And yes, we ought to, as soon as we actually get the physical award and the citation, we can use it for a story. And I think maybe we might even tie it into a story about the study being done by the Biden Center.
Absolutely. That would be perfect.
But on behalf of the state board, I will go wrestle Kara for the physical attainment and possession of this award.
Absolutely. And a lot of photo ops for our website and Facebook, et cetera. Visibility. Thank you.
But one of the things that has been good is we've gotten some great press in Sussex County. And we got some very good press with the General Assembly process. What we gained in the General Assembly process was credibility, both on the House and Senate side with leadership and with the staff, particularly Jesse,
Mm.
and the Senate side, Ray Lewis. We got a great deal of credibility, particularly as it related to the Senate process.
Thank you. Okay. I don't see any hands or questions, Jack. Thank you very much. We're going to move on
My
with
pleasure.
Linda Barnett. She's our Advocacy Corps chairperson, and together with her diligent and dedicated team of volunteers, they monitor the activities for the Delaware legislators that conducts the state's businesses. I'd like to welcome her and her presentation. Linda Barnett.
Okay, well, I am sharing my screen here successfully, amazingly. I don't want to belabor this because I think most people at this meeting know about the Advocacy Corps. Many of you participate in it, and the others need to step up and do that. But the Advocacy Corps is the place where our policy program is focused upon, and we advocate, of course, for the issues and the positions that are in that program. The group meets monthly, and we monitor legislation. We are also busy developing public programs to inform our members and the public. We had a great one this past Monday, which many of you attended, on the criminal justice issue, and we will continue to develop programs like that. In terms of what we're working on in our bill tracking, I counted things up, and we're currently monitoring almost 100 bills. And in addition to that, about 25 bills that we have supported over this past year have been passed. We supported them. Of course, we can't take full credit for their passing, but we worked hard to make that happen. There are a lot of bills that we're following, as I say, more than almost 100, and I don't want to tediously read over this whole list. Perhaps we will publish this in the next voter so that those attending here today and those who didn't make it can read this. But one that I certainly want to mention is the bill allowing terminally ill individuals to obtain medical assistance in dying if they are terminally ill and mentally competent and able to self-administer medication. This was supposed to come up for a vote in the House last week, but the votes weren't there. And so it's a continuing struggle, and everyone needs to continue to keep their representative advised of how important this is, what a difference it will make to those who are suffering at the end of their life. We are following many bills on many different topics: education, healthcare, the environment. There's a bill to prohibit restaurants from using single-serve plastic utensils and styrofoam, which we hope will pass. There's a bill that prevents auto insurance organizations to use gender as a basis for rating the cost of their policies. Interestingly, though, if the gender goes away as a rating factor, indeed, women may end up paying more, because right now, because of the good driving of women compared to men, their rates tend to be lower. But we have to be on the side of equity, and that women should not get favoritism, and nor should they be treated badly. So that's kind of a two-sided sword on that one. As I say, there are many bills that we have supported that have passed. One that we are very pleased about and that could make a big difference, hopefully in Delaware, if other states would adopt it, is to have mental health professionals present in elementary schools to meet with youngsters as soon as an issue is identified, instead of waiting for the problem to erupt. Another one that I think is relevant to the League of Women Voters is that schools are now authorized to give a day of excused absence for an out-of-school civic engagement activity for students in grades 6 through 12. And this, we hope, will encourage the awareness of the voting process and what goes on in government. We have we worked to pass a bill where electric vehicle charging stations can be developed more easily. We have supported a bill that is now in law to prevent discrimination against traits historically associated with race, such as African-American hairstyles. Sadly, we learned that people, women especially, who wear traditional African-American hairstyles have been told they couldn't come to work, they couldn't go to school, they had to remove those special hairstyles, and that is now against the law in Delaware. We're supposed to focus on challenges and goals in this report, and one of our challenges has to do with the number of topic areas we do address in the Advocacy Corps. As you can tell from the list that I've referenced, we cover topics that range from climate change and the environment, education, election and voting rights, healthcare, criminal justice, social policy. We need new members, and we're doing everything we can to acquire them. We always have information in Letty's email blasts about the committees and how people can contact committee chairs to become part of that. And we hope that people do not feel intimidated by all of these topic areas, which sound somewhat erudite. None of us are experts in these things when we start. We learn, we study, we talk among ourselves so that we can learn. And that's another reason to join the Advocacy Corps. It's a great learning opportunity. Another challenge, and this is something that Jack alluded to, all incumbents who want their positions in the legislature have to run again. Of course, there'll be many challengers to that, so that all of the House and Senate seats will have to be open for election. And this means that we will have to learn about the new members of the General Assembly once the election is over, because our advocacy very much depends on having champions for our causes. And we'll have to learn who those champions will be once the dust settles. So that will be a challenge that we will have in the year ahead. Okay.
Outstanding, Linda. Thank you very much. I would like to recognize who some of those champion leaders are at the moment, the chairs of these different committees. And would you kindly recognize who they are, or I can do it as well?
Well, let me see. Kathleen is the chair of our education portfolio. Jill chairs the voting and elections portfolio. Charlie handles natural resources. Let's see, who else do we have on here? I think Lori is here, criminal justice chairperson. Jack handles the government, finance, and taxation portfolio, and several others do as well. And they have all worked hard to become experts in their topic areas. As I said before, nobody is expected to be an expert when they start, but we all work hard to learn.
Excellent, thank you. Do we have any questions for Linda? Comments? Okay, thank you very much. And before we conclude, we're going to hear, oh, I'm sorry, Kim, do you have a question? That was interesting.
I just wanted to ask Linda, now that you've used the Action Network for a couple of years, do you think that's a good tool for the Advocacy Corps to continue using? What's the kind of the verdict on Action Network and the letter campaigns?
Well, we haven't had a discussion about that in the Advocacy Corps itself, so perhaps some of the other members could chime in on that, and as well as people who are not in the Advocacy Corps who are the recipients of these messages. We had one very recently that I think we had a pretty good response to, and that was the one having to do with banning the transit of liquefied natural gas in the railways across, the Mid-Atlantic region. We had a really good response to that one. I think it's a good vehicle. I don't know if any of the other anyone else would like to comment on that, but I know it's not very expensive, and in fact, Jill, I didn't see that in the report singled out as a cost. but I know we have to pay for that whenever we use it. It's not a tremendous cost. $10 a month, I think, when we use it. So it doesn't cost us a lot. And I think the benefit we get, I hope the benefit we get from it is it makes it worthwhile. But it'd be interesting to hear from some of those who are on the receiving end of it.
Excellent. Thank you. Letty, do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, just a question. I know that the stats are available, Linda, and the idea was that not only this would be an outreach to our members, but also they can share it on Facebook and on Twitter and all that. And I'm not sure if people are doing that, and does that show it in the back end, as well as, are we getting people who are not members? Because I know the membership people from the local leagues submit new names to Kim right now. She does the updates on that network. So I'm just wondering if we're successful with that, or if we can tell.
So I don't know if you've looked at it at that level, Linda, but I can answer that one for the petition that Linda alluded to, the LNG natural gas shipping. We had 42 signatures, and 8 of those were from sharing it on social media that were non-league members. So, the majority came from our mailing list, but we did get some outside ones who then become part of our mailing list.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Jack?
Yeah, I do think that we need to still work on mobilization of individuals now that Legislative Hall is open. And a good example is we sent out a notice about 140, the options bill, and only, I think, 2 league people showed up on that day. Fortunately, it was Kara and me, and we were able to work the hall, talk to the speaker, talk with folks about 140. But I think if we're going to have those kind of league events, we really need to think about how we're going to mobilize folks on those very important days. And it seems to me that it would help if we spent a couple of bucks, literally a couple bucks, and did some professional name tags so that when we're walking up and down the hall between the House and the Senate, that we have a name tag that identifies us as a league member with the name. I think that would help a lot.
Good points. Good points. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to our reports from Kent County, Newcastle County, and Sussex County. Several of the presidents are prepared to give a report today. I'd like to introduce again Richard Johnson, President of Newcastle County.
Thanks, Gwen. So I just wanted to kind of recap. You brought up successes and challenges. So I thought that's what I would kind of report on this time. So, because I thought we had a good year, but it's been a difficult year, of course, with COVID because you can't meet very easily. But we did, one of our successes is we did have a social event, which was a recruiting event at Patty's house. And that went over very well, and nobody got COVID afterwards. It was done outside. It was done outside, so it wasn't a mass thing. But I thought that was good, and we felt like we were getting back. We've had a couple successful fundraisers, which has been difficult. So we did an auction for the first time. I ran that, and it was successful enough. We made enough money there. And then we also do a shopping event up at Brandmar Wall where we actually collect 10% of whatever sold that day. So that was good too. Not as good as the year before, but we have some, with now things opening up, we should be better. And so we've had, I think we've done, Patty does a great job of organizing voter registration events, and we've had good participation there this year in terms of doing that. And so she she's very good at pulling that all together and grabbing our members to actually man the booth. So that's been good. And the other nice thing that's finally happened is Liz is retiring from the board, but we do have a treasurer and bookkeeper now, Ron McKenney, who actually that's his job in life. So we're lucky to get him. So he's going to be a member also. Some of our greatest challenges, which I always face, is back to what Charlie said and what we've all said, is recruitment of members, especially younger audiences. I do want to try to get into more younger audiences. And I think the TikTok thing will be an excellent test to see where that goes, because I think that's where it is. I would like to figure out a way to get more participation in members. I think that's a challenge. It's in our group, it's always the same people, and it's hard to recruit additional people. I just don't know how to do that yet. So that's something we want to look at. So the other thing is just, this year coming up is getting people more aware of what we're doing, which we are doing. But I think the idea that we use the voter a little more to actually solicit ideas that the membership wants to look at would be very valuable if we could get any kind of reading from that. I think Marge brought up a good point, is if we came up with enough ideas, we could publish those and rank them on what the priorities are in the coming year. So that's one thought. And my league goals this year is to be much more active at fundraising. We've got some stuff on the works there. We also want to look at social media and being a little more visible on that. And I really want to establish more quarterly goals and objectives that we measure ourselves on each quarter so that we can actually tell what kind of progress we're making. So that's my report.
Excellent report. Dick, thank you very much. I really would like to have heard more about those recruiting events. We always are looking, all of the leagues are looking into how to be better at recruiting. But, and also an area that we shy away from are some of the fundraising. And you brought up two excellent examples on your auction and shopping. And the shopping one is really pretty easy. All you have to do is have an agreement within a store, and then, people come and shop and you get a percentage of that. So I like to see us do various types of fundraising events. I know some of them you make a lot and some of them you don't. But again, it's also about awareness and people seeing who we are and hearing about us. So that's what's really important. I appreciate you sharing your challenges of recruitment. It seems that is one that we all are suffering from. We all need to find better ways to recruit new members and to engage and encourage our current members to be more involved. Thank you very much for your much appreciated. And if you do come across any great fundraising ideas, please share them with everyone. I'd like to take this time now to welcome the interim president from Kent County, Chandra Owens. As I mentioned earlier, Mary Kay Edgars is no longer the president, and we will miss her deeply. Her health is paramount, and that is something that we appreciate, that she has taken the time to think about her wellness. And in doing so, Chandra has kindly stepped in to be the president of Kent County, and we applaud and appreciate her for doing that. Chandra, do you have a report for the council?
Yes, I submitted it. So there's a hard copy, and similar to what Mr. Johnson had mentioned, recruitment is, as we say, it's the foundation of making sure that we still are here. And so we have, for the last few months, held a membership drive in which there are 2 awards for the existing member that brings in the most members. And so I know we're up to 7 new members within the league, and I think it's between me and I think Miss Peggy, who might be the top winners. So I'm crossing fingers, but being in different spaces, to be in front of faces that don't necessarily look like our own, is going to be important for us to get the diversity and get those younger faces into our league councils, because they vote too, and we just want them to have as much information as possible so they can make really wise decisions and share those decisions. In terms, okay, let me focus on what I actually wrote down. We're still working on our 501c3 status application. The voter oftentimes has different information and surveys for members to collect data from them. We've only got like 20% response rate from our membership, but they know that I love a survey and I'm going to send it out in the voter, and I have to make sure that it's prominent so they know where to click on the document, the PDF, so they can go into the actual survey. So understanding who my membership and how tech savvy they may or may not be is important for me to actually get information out to them and actually get a response back. We've been working on, well, been addressing and working with some key points of contact with our homeless issue in downtown Dover, and lending our support where needed. We've been trying to get our league members renewing their certification for voter registration so they can go out into the community and solicit. In terms of the publications or promotional materials for a league, that is important. And when you do, like similar to the 411 print ad, send that to the rest of the counties so we can utilize, not say whatever graphics we have, so we can utilize that on our, not just our league social media pages, but our own personal pages. And that way we can have a link. If you're interested, and we can include the web address so people can gain more information. If they want to seek membership or just seek information about candidates, they know where to go. Us being a member is not enough. We need to promote and look like a League of Women Voters member. If there's any way that we can work together to collaborate, because I want to have more t-shirts and pins and buttons, hats. So whenever we go out, everyone, well, I want a t-shirt too. Well, sign up and join. And that way, not to say give them something, you know, we do a whole bunch of crazy stuff for a t-shirt. So why not sign up to be a League of Women Voter? And if there's a later on this summer when we're not so busy, if the, at least for me as an interim, I knew 10% of what the league did. And so for me, it's been a little challenging, but if there's a way to have a conversation with the county presidents as well as the state presidents, so we can at least be on some same page, so we can have more coverage, fill in the gaps for those areas in which we're not familiar with, and bring up that technology stance so we all can be doing some of the same things, but you know, to our own different counties. So that's my report, and that's my plea.
Thank you, Sandra. Are there any, I meant to ask Dick when Dick was speaking, if there were any questions for Dick. I don't remember if I asked that, or now that Chandra has finished her report, are there any questions or comments for Chandra? I applaud all of your energy and enthusiasm. Thank you very much. And good luck on the membership drive. I think that is a creative idea to get people to become engaged. Sometimes you have to throw a little bit of money at a problem to get people to look, listen, and pay attention and participate. And many of your ideas are about visibility and getting people to notice who we are. And the swag idea is something that we don't really do a lot of, but other organizations do. Now, of course, it has to do with budgetary constraints that we have, but especially if we have some swag items and give those away as awards or, you know, as an incentive to do or participate in something, become the 50th new member and get this, that, or the other, or, you know, that kind of promotional thing. And most importantly, especially in your position, I acknowledge that we need to do a better job of mentoring, especially for someone who is an interim, or even if, or someone who is the first vice president or the vice president or the upcoming chair. If something does happen, which happened a lot this year, you're coming in cold, not knowing what that president, and if the president who has resigned in your case is ill or too ill to explain what they have done previously, then it puts you in a very uncomfortable position. So I do appreciate you stepping in that regard. Thank you. And Tyler, Rain Tyler is going to talk to us on behalf of Sussex County and talk about some of the wonderful ideas and initiatives that they have put forth for over the last year. And Rain?
Hey, you had suggested that we talk about our accomplishments and challenges. I'm going to go over challenges first because they were significant for us. Our main challenge was functioning without a president or a vice president. I don't know whether to describe it as being part of a headless horse or a multi-headed hydra, because there were times when we didn't have leadership and there were times where we had lots of leadership because people came together and worked well together. Every board member rose to the challenge, and we have taken turns chairing our monthly board meetings. We've volunteered to head activities and we've made group decisions that probably should have been made by the president. All our board members, from our treasurer, Marge LaFond, our secretary, Martha Rothenberg, our membership co-chairs, Jan Willis and Pat Newcomb, our social policy chair, Janet Ambrose, our PR chair, Jane Lord, and myself as a webmaster. We've all stepped up and met the challenge. And I think we've ended up having a successful year despite that. Our other challenge you all had, it was rebounding from the effects of the pandemic. In the past, we've had our fun lunches, and those have been our mainstay for keeping membership involved and attracting new members, keeping people motivated. We've used Zoom, and we've learned that Zoom is a great tool, and we'll continue to use it in the future, but it's no substitute for in-person get-togethers where you can meet and socialize and feel the comfort of being with people who have some of the same goals and mindset as you do. Membership numbers went down during the pandemic, but they've improved this year. We're currently at 122 with 25 new members in 2022. So we're not back to pre-pandemic levels, but we're getting there. Some of our accomplishments, our Observer Corps continues to observe Sussex County Council meetings, school board meetings. They've observed remotely this year, but they've managed to cover things well. They issued their annual sunshine report, and it's they have done that annually since 2010, which is an accomplishment. They focus on adherence to open government policies in those reports. Our Social Policy Committee has been very active. They prioritized 4 topics for action, and they've presented public forums on 3 of those and are working on a 4th. Their topics have been end-of-life options. They had a program on House Bill 140 in February with 25 attendees. Another topic's homelessness and affordable housing. We had a panel discussion on homelessness in March with over 50 attendees. Social justice, social injustice, and hate crimes was another topic. And a program was presented with the Southern Delaware Alliance for Racial Justice in April with over 75 attendees. And the fourth topic is education, and the committee is in the planning stages of co-sponsoring an event with the AAUW on the crisis state of childcare in Delaware. Our Voter Services Committee held a voter registration training for a bunch of new volunteers, and they did record it, and it is up on YouTube, but the audio is not wonderful, so it's probably going to be redone with the recorded again with the next training. But it's a good tool to have. They have Voter Services Committees has established 4 subcommittees, and they found volunteers to chair those 4. They wanted to do 6 subcommittees, but we're missing the people, but we've got 4 in place. Vote 411 that you've already talked about, and Jill mentioned our outstanding 88% response rate from the candidates. We're all proud of that. We're working on high school registration. Our committee members have scheduled registration drives in 10 out of 11 high schools in Sussex County. So that's an all-time high to get that many schools involved. We're pleased with that. The other 2 areas they're into is Del Tech registration. That'll come alive in the fall, and candidate forum subcommittee will be activated closer to the elections. What are our goals for the coming year? Like everybody else, membership growth and retention. We plan on holding regular and interesting fun lunches to attract members and retain existing ones by engaging them and promoting socialization among members. We're going to promote membership involvement in activities by keeping them informed of upcoming events through the website, through social media, and mass mailings. We've started using MailChimp for mass mailings. We want to utilize mentors to encourage membership engagement in league activities and develop new leaders. We want to develop membership. Our membership chairs want to develop a survey to examine issues on retention, figure out why people do not join up the next year. We want to coordinate more activities with other community organizations in Sussex County, with organizations who have similar goals to promote a more diverse membership. And another goal is to rebuild and strengthen the League of Women Voters of Sussex County. And we want to do that through all of the above that I mentioned. Plus, we'd like to fill our vacant leadership positions, or especially president and vice president. We do have some new people after we had our annual meeting last week, and we do have some new leaders coming up, but not in those 2 roles yet. We're going to start posting. We've done this a little bit this year, but we want to do it more regularly. Post help wanted notices on the website and mass emails to encourage members to explore more ways that they can become involved with the league. We encourage members to attend board meetings, to learn how their league functions, and to learn about leadership roles they might be interested in. And we'll continue to hold forums as we have done this year to educate the public about issues relevant to Sussex Countyans. Needless to say, I'm proud to be a member of of the League of Women Voters of Sussex County. We've had to overcome some obstacles this year, but we've ended up having a successful year, and we have high hopes for the future.
Wow, you did all of that without a president and vice president. Amazing. Really, kudos. Really, really kudos. to you and the entire Sussex County League of Women Voters. That was truly enlightening. And not only that, but in the reports tonight, you were elevated in the election report by Jill and in the redistricting. You're doing wonderful, great things, and you're not letting the fact that you don't have a full and complete board to stop you from moving forward. It is truly something that should be written about. Very serious. Thank you. Thank you, Rain, bringing us up to date on all of those wonderful achievements. Thank you. Questions for Rain, Marge?
This really isn't a question for Rain, but listening to all three of these presidents, it reiterates the common theme that all of them have about membership, about fundraising, and about diversity. And I'm thinking to Charlie's earlier question about, what should we do with any money that we might have in the budget, or to put as a goal for fundraising. There are experts in all of these fields. And there may be a point where we want to just bite the bullet and have somebody give us some advice about how to go about doing all of these things. I also want to just comment on Rain's, I think it was Rain, might have been Chandra, who talked about having all the presidents get together, because I think that's an excellent idea to get all the leagues. We're such a small state, to get all the leagues and the state president on the same page with everybody knowing everybody's information. I think that's a terrific idea.
Excellent, Marge. Thank you for sharing that. Are there any other comments, questions? This has been a great, thank you, state local league presidents. It's really remarkable, the great things that you're doing and the goals that you have for the next year. Thank you for sharing that with us. I just want to take a moment before we close to acknowledge and thank Marjorie Green for attending today, and Tiffany Leiden for attending as well. And I also want to welcome back Melody Taylor. We are very happy that she was able to make this meeting as well. And we look forward to hearing a report from Melody Taylor and all that she has done for the good of the people in the last 6 months. And we had hoped that we discussed possibly having her speak at this particular council, but the time frame was just too close to accomplish that. So in the next coming months, we will hear from Melody and all the things that she has been doing on behalf of the United States of America. So thank you, Melody, for being here today. And in closing, I would like to just share with you, it's listening to the reports and what everyone had to say. I do want to think about and share with you that I don't think I have to tell anyone how significant the threats, to our democracy has been, especially at this time. We are witnessing an unprecedented, elimination of our voting rights and confidence in the democratic process. In my opinion, right now, our democracy is in crisis. Our democracy is in pain. And our mission, as it always has been, is to defend, to revive, and to heal our democracy. And as all of you have mentioned in various ways and in different forms, we need to be a bigger, a better, a stronger organization to defend our democracy. But in summary, I am very proud of all the work being done by the state and local leagues. And it is wonderful how it has brought so many of you together to have worked so diligently on so many initiatives. And the fact that you are together, working together, accepting the challenges, acknowledging challenges, and still being a unified group moving together does speak volumes. And for those who have advocated tirelessly on essential issues, important legislative issues, voter registration, voter education, I see you. I think we all see you and value you as the grassroots engine of this organization. But as all of you have said in your reports, we need a bigger, a more robust, a well-trained, and a more diverse organization. And moving forward for 2022-23, I hope we set our sights on not talking about how to do it, but doing it. Laying the plans, laying the ideas out, setting up goals or rubrics of which to accomplish it, so that at the end of the next year, in the summer or spring of 2023, we will be talking about what we have done. We need to elevate a call to action. We need to become an active participant in championing change and defending democracy. Whatever it looks like, we need to make that a priority. So I'm asking, and it really is something that Chandra shared with me. It's for her group, it's taking an incentive, a membership drive for whoever receives the most membership drive, the most new members in this membership drive. That's kind of like a goal or incentive to accomplish something that will benefit all of Kent County. And even though I'm not advocating that, what I am advocating is that each one of us take a personal responsibility to find a new member or two or three that not only looks like us, but one that may not look like us, to become members of the league and to help and support all of those members who are doing the heroic job at guiding and leading their portfolios or their committees and supporting them. They need your help. We all need your help if we are going to succeed. And finally, to reiterate what was said earlier, is mentoring, reaching out to others, supporting others so that they have the confidence and the skills and the mindset to not only help us, but also be in a good position to take over the roles that we are working so hard. This was a very meaningful council meeting. I hope you've learned as much from each other about all the great things that we're doing, and that you share and spread that word. At this time, I would like to have a motion to close the council meeting.
Gwen, could I just say something?
Oh, absolutely.
I have been listening to these incredible reports and the challenges that are being met at every single level of the league in the state of Delaware, as well as nationally in the country. And it occurred to me that when we're talking about recruiting and gaining new members and gaining younger members, we need to send a message of who the league is. The league is a learning process. You learn how government works. You learn how to motivate people to participate, how to expand involvement in the political process, and above all, how to communicate and work with people who have diverse interests and diverse backgrounds, and work together to achieve mutually held goals. This is the challenge to maintain our democracy, and it always begins at the grassroots level, and that's what the league is all about. And that is the hook that you grab people to become a part of that process.
Thank you, Ellen. Well said. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and comments. Before I close, would anyone else like to make or share their thoughts and comments, especially reflecting on what you heard today? It was remarkable. Okay, thank you again, Ellen. May I have a motion to close the council meeting?
We adjourn.
Is that your motion, Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie Garlow, I move we adjourn and close the council.
Do we have a second?
Second, Chandra Owens.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of ending the meeting at 6:50 p.m. Yeah, all those opposed? Okay, let the minutes show that the meeting ended today at 6:51 p.m. Everyone go out and be the change you want to see the world to be.
Thank you. Thank you, Gwendolyn. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great
Such a
meeting.
Good meeting. Thank you.